At precisely 3:15 p.m. on a sweltering Wednesday, a small hand raised hesitantly from behind a battered couch, signaling for help. The officer on the scene, Officer Ramirez, froze as he locked eyes with the terrified little girl, recognizing the silent plea that could unravel a family's dark secrets. Just minutes later, the sounds of sirens echoed through the neighborhood, shattering the facade of normalcy that had cloaked the house for years. Lily's voice trembled as she whispered the truth that would expose the betrayal lurking within her own home. "My name is Lily. It's time for the world to know that I am not just a victim, I am a survivor." The room fell eerily silent after I spoke, the weight of my revelation hanging in the air like a heavy fog. I could see the flicker of emotions cross my mother's face, a mix of shock and guilt, as if my words had peeled away layers of her carefully constructed defenses. Sarah's eyes glistened with unshed tears, each droplet representing a fear she had buried deep down. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of losing me too. Officer Davis, standing tall and steady beside her, felt like a guardian angel in that moment, his calm demeanor providing a strange comfort amidst the storm brewing inside me. "Lily, sweetheart," my mother finally spoke, her voice shaky yet laced with determination, "we need to talk about this." I could hear the urgency beneath her tone, the desperation to navigate through the chaos I had inadvertently unleashed. But how could we talk about it when the truth was like a snarling beast, ready to pounce on our fragile family bonds? My heart raced, torn between wanting to share everything I felt and the fear that my honesty might shatter what little stability we had left. Officer Davis stepped forward, his presence grounding us both. "You did the right thing, Lily," he said gently, his eyes searching mine for understanding. "Your feelings are important, and it's okay to express them. You're not alone in this." His words wrapped around me like a warm blanket, igniting a flicker of hope within. Perhaps sharing my story was the first step in reclaiming my voice, the first step in breaking free from the silence that had suffocated us for so long. As I gathered my thoughts, memories flooded back. Loud arguments echoing through the walls, the nights when my mother cried softly in the dark, and the empty space at the dinner table where my father should have been. Each recollection felt like a jagged piece of glass, cutting into my heart as I tried to articulate my pain. "I just want things to be different," I confessed, my voice barely more than a whisper. "I want my family back together." The admission hung in the air, vulnerable and raw, revealing the depths of my longing for a life where laughter replaced the sadness. Sarah knelt down beside me, her eyes searching mine, looking for a connection to bridge the chasm of hurt that had formed between us. "Lily, I've been trying so hard to keep us together, but sometimes it feels impossible," she admitted, her voice breaking. I could see the fight within her, the fierce love that propelled her through every struggle, but I also sensed her weariness. The burden of being a single parent weighed heavily on her shoulders, and I wished she could see that I didn't blame her for our circumstances. I just wanted her to acknowledge my pain. "I miss him," I said, my voice stronger now, fueled by the overwhelming desire to be heard. "I miss Dad." Those 3 words felt like a storm unleashed, rattling our fragile peace. A flicker of regret passed over Sarah's face, and I knew she had been wrestling with her own demons about Mark's absence. She had poured everything into raising me, but in doing so, perhaps she had forgotten the importance of addressing the void my father had left behind. Officer Davis cleared his throat, wanting to steer the conversation in a healthier direction. "It's important to talk about these feelings," he encouraged, "and maybe it's time to face Mark together. He needs to understand how his absence has affected both of you." A shiver ran down my spine at the thought of confronting my father. Part of me was terrified, wondering if he would even care, or if he'd simply brush aside the past as if it meant nothing. Yet deep down, a flicker of hope ignited. Maybe this was the moment I had been waiting for. a chance to reclaim my narrative, to confront the person who had left me feeling like half of a whole. With Officer Davis as our support, we agreed to reach out to Mark. The plan felt precarious, like walking on a tightrope strung high above a chasm, but there was no turning back now. The next few days were filled with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. I spent hours sketching in my notebook, pouring my emotions onto the pages, channeling my fears into swirling colors and shapes that danced before my eyes. Each stroke of my pencil felt like a release, as if I was drawing out the pain that had festered for far too long. Finally, the day arrived when Officer Davis would help us face Mark. I remember the morning distinctly, the sunlight filtering through my bedroom window, casting soft shadows across the floor. I dressed carefully, choosing a simple blue dress that made me feel brave, hoping that it would give me the strength I needed to confront the man who had left a gaping hole in my heart. I took a deep breath, reminding myself that I was not that scared little girl anymore. I was a survivor, ready to take a stand. When we arrived at the designated meeting spot, my heart raced with each step. The cafe was bustling with people, laughter and chatter filling the air, but I felt as if I were in a bubble, insulated from the vibrant world around me. Sarah and Officer Davis positioned themselves on either side of me, providing a sense of security, but I knew this was my moment to step into the light and reclaim what had been lost. As I glanced towards the entrance, the familiar figure of my father emerged from the crowd, looking just as I remembered, tall with dark hair and an air of detachment that had haunted my dreams. My pulse quickened, a mixture of fear and determination flooding through me. This was it. No more hiding, no more silence. Today, I would speak my truth, no matter how difficult it might be. Today, I would take the first step towards healing. I felt a tightness in my chest as I stepped forward, my feet moving almost on their own accord. Each step brought a flood of memories rushing back, snippets of laughter, moments of joy, and long stretches of absence that had left me feeling adrift. My mind flashed to the evenings spent waiting for a call that never came. The birthdays celebrated with an empty chair at the table, and the countless times I had to explain to my friends why my family was different. But as I approached Mark, something shifted inside me. I was no longer that little girl who felt invisible. I was a girl who had learned to paint her pain into vibrant colors on canvas, who had created a world of her own where love could exist freely. When I reached him, I could see the surprise etched on his face. Those dark eyes, once so familiar, now held a hint of uncertainty. I mustered every ounce of courage within me and spoke, my voice steady yet tinged with the vulnerability that came from years of holding everything in. "Why did you leave?" I asked, my heart racing. The question hung in the air, thick with the weight of unspoken words. I needed an answer, a reason for the gaps in our story that had left me feeling so fragmented. Mark looked at me, and for a moment I thought he might turn away again, just like he had so many times before. But instead, he took a deep breath, as if bracing himself against the inevitable tide of emotions. I made mistakes," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I thought it would be better for you and your mom if I stayed away." The flicker of regret in his eyes made my heart ache, but I wasn't ready to forgive him, not yet. Sarah, standing a few steps behind me, watched the two of us with a mix of fear and hope. I could see her hands clenching and unclenching as she struggled to keep her emotions in check. This was her chance too, the moment she had longed for since Mark had walked out of our lives. But I could sense the hesitation in her, the years of hurt still fresh in her mind. As much as I wanted to bridge the gap between us, I knew we all needed to confront the truth of our past, no matter how painful it was. Officer Davis, lingering by the entrance, noticed the tension and stepped forward, offering a gentle smile to ease the moment. "This is important, but it's not easy," he said, addressing all of us. "Maybe it's time to share what you've both been feeling." His voice was calm and reassuring, an anchor in the emotional storm swirling around us. I glanced at Sarah, who looked as if she were about to speak. "Mark," she finally began, her voice trembling, "you can't just come back and pretend like nothing happened. You don't know how hard it's been for me, for us." Her words hung in the air, raw and unfiltered. I could see her anger simmering just below the surface, a volcano waiting to erupt after years of silence. "I never wanted it to be this way," Mark replied, his voice laced with desperation. "I thought distancing myself would protect you both from the chaos that was my life." The regret in his tone made me ache for the little girl who had wished every day for a father's love. But I was also angry. Anger that he hadn't even fought to be a part of our lives. "Did you think we wouldn't notice? That we wouldn't hurt?" I interjected, my heart racing as I confronted the man who had so easily walked away from everything that mattered. "You made a choice, and it left us broken. I was left wondering if I did something wrong, if I wasn't worth fighting for." The silence that followed my words was deafening, filled with the weight of our shared pain. Mark opened his mouth to respond, but the words faltered, trapped somewhere in the confusion of his emotions. I saw him clench his fists, as if grappling with the truth. "Lily," Sarah said softly, her voice a soothing balm against the tension, "you've always been worth it. You are brave and strong, and this doesn't change that." The warmth of her words wrapped around me, reminding me that even in chaos, I was not alone. I had her, and I had found my voice in art, but my father was a stranger standing before me. Mark's expression shifted as he processed Sarah's words, and for the first time, I caught a glimpse of the guilt that had haunted him. "I should have reached out. I was selfish," he finally admitted, his voice breaking. "I thought I was protecting you by staying away, but I was wrong." The sincerity in his admission pierced through the fog of anger, and I felt a flicker of something else. Maybe it was hope. "Then why are you here now?" I asked, not ready to let go of the hurt, not ready to forgive just yet. What changed? "I've realized that I can't run from my past," he said, glancing at both Sarah and me. "I want to be a part of your lives again, to make amends, even if it takes time." His voice was filled with a mixture of determination and vulnerability. Officer Davis stepped forward again, sensing the shift in our dialogue. "Healing isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. You've all faced pain, and moving forward will require patience and understanding." His encouraging words wrapped around us. A reminder that rebuilding trust would take time and effort from all sides. As I looked at my parents, I realized that we were standing on the brink of something monumental. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one where we could either continue to drift apart or slowly start to weave our lives back together. I took a deep breath, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within me. Maybe we could learn to forgive, to let go of the past that had burdened us for so long. "Can we try?" I asked softly, my voice barely above a whisper, filled with both fear and courage. "Can we start over, even if it's just a little at a time?" Mark nodded slowly, and I saw something shift in his expression, a glimmer of determination to be better, to do better. Sarah reached for my hand, squeezing it tightly, and I felt her reassurance wash over me. This was just the beginning of a long journey, but I was ready to take that first step, and I hoped my family was ready to follow. With Officer Davis as our guide, we would navigate the rocky terrain of our emotions together, taking it day by day, step by step. The road ahead would not be easy, but for the first time in a long time, I felt that maybe it could lead us to a place of understanding and love, a place where all of us could truly belong. If you enjoyed this story and want to follow along on this journey, don't forget to subscribe for more captivating tales that explore the intricacies of family, healing, and love. In the days that followed Officer Davis's unexpected visit, I found myself lost in a whirlwind of emotions. My mother, Sarah, was quieter than usual, and I could tell that the meeting had stirred something deep inside her. She often sat at the kitchen table, staring out the window as if waiting for something or someone to change. I wanted to reach out, to tell her that it would all be okay, but I didn't know how. My art had always been my outlet, a way to channel the chaos in my heart, but even my favorite colors felt dull and muted. One afternoon, as I sat on the floor surrounded by crayons and paper, I began to draw a picture of our family. In my mind, I imagined us sitting together, laughing under a bright blue sky. I included my mother, of course, and next to her I drew a figure of a man, tall and strong, with an outstretched hand. I had never really seen my father, but I pictured him as someone who could make everything better, someone who would wrap us in his warmth and chase away the shadows that lingered at the edges of our lives. After a few hours of drawing, I had created something that made me smile, even if just for a moment. I ran to find my mother, hoping to share this little piece of my heart with her. She was still at the table, her fingers brushing over an old photo of the two of us, taken on a day when the sun was shining brightly. I carefully placed my drawing in front of her, feeling a surge of hope that she would understand what I was trying to express. "What do you think, Mom?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked down at the drawing, her expression shifting as emotions flickered across her face. A soft smile broke through her initial sadness, and I felt a warmth spread in my chest. "It's beautiful, Lily," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "You've captured so much in this picture." I watched as her fingers traced the outline of the man I had drawn. "Is that," she began, but then stopped, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I nodded, understanding that we both knew who that figure represented. "Maybe one day we can meet him," I suggested, my heart racing with the thought. Sarah's expression grew contemplative, and I could sense the weight of the decision resting heavily on her. In the following days, Officer Davis kept his promise. He checked in on us regularly, often stopping by with a warm smile and a reassuring presence. His kindness felt like a gentle beacon, guiding us through our stormy sea of emotions. He talked to my mother about the importance of healing, urging her to consider reconnecting with Mark, and I saw her grappling with the idea. One evening, as we sat together in the living room, I could see the struggle in her eyes, the way she fought against the tides of her past. "What if he hurts us again?" she asked, her voice laced with worry. I knew that fear. It was the same fear I felt about many things, the dark corners of my mind, the uncertainty of my family, the possibility that we might never be whole. "But what if he changes?" I replied, my voice stronger than I felt. "What if we give him a chance?" Sarah looked at me, her expression softening. "You're brave, Lily. It's okay to hope," she said, brushing my hair back from my face. In that moment, I felt a strange sense of responsibility, as if I was leading us toward a path that could either heal us or break us further apart. After another week, Sarah finally made the decision. With a mixture of trepidation and resolve, she called Mark. The conversation was short, but I could tell it had been a pivotal moment. When she hung up the phone, there was a new energy in the room, a palpable mix of anxiety and anticipation. "He's coming over," Sarah said, her voice shaking slightly. "Tomorrow." As night fell, my imagination raced with possibilities. I didn't sleep much, envisioning all the scenarios that could play out. What would happen when Mark stepped through our front door? Would he be the stranger I had always imagined, or would he be the father I desperately longed for? Each scenario flickered through my mind like images in a movie reel, but the truth was, I had no idea what to expect. The following day dawned bright and clear, but the sunshine felt almost surreal, as if it were mocking the anxiety that bubbled inside me. I busied myself with my art, trying to keep my hands occupied. But the anticipation was nearly unbearable. Sarah moved around the house, her footsteps heavy with the weight of her own memories, memories I wished I could erase for her. When the doorbell rang, I jumped, and for a moment my heart raced as if I were about to leap into a great unknown. Sarah exchanged a glance with me before she opened the door, and I could see the tremor in her hands as she turned the knob. The moment the door swung open, time seemed to stand still. Mark stood there, looking different than I had imagined. Older, perhaps, but there was an unmistakable resemblance. I felt a wave of emotions crash over me, a mixture of confusion, excitement, and fear. He stepped forward, his eyes searching for something familiar. "Hi," he said, his voice low and hesitant. "I'm Mark." As I stood there, watching this moment unfold, I realized that no matter how this encounter went, our lives were about to change forever. Mark's presence was like a shadow that flickered in and out of my mind. My heart raced as I tried to process who stood in front of me, his uncertainty palpable in the air between us. The questions that had swirled in my head for years began to spill out like a dam breaking. "Why did you leave?" I wanted to scream. Instead, I remained silent, my eyes darting between him and the ground. I wondered if he could feel the weight of my unasked questions, just as I felt the weight of the unfulfilled promises that hung between us. Sarah emerged from the kitchen, drawn by the tension that filled the room. Her eyes widened as they fell upon Mark, and I could see her muscles tense, her body language screaming surprise and fear. I could sense the history they shared, tangled with unresolved hurt. As I shifted my gaze between the two of them, I realized this meeting wasn't just about me. It was a reckoning that encompassed both of their lives. "Mark," Sarah finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper, "I didn't expect to see you here." I noticed a slight tremor in her hands, a reflection of the tumult in her heart. I wanted to reach out and reassure her, to bridge the gap that had formed between them, but I felt frozen, caught between their past and my fragile hope for a future. He took a step toward her, and I held my breath, wondering if this was the moment that everything would shift, or if it would crumble into a heap of awkward silence. "I didn't know how to come back," he admitted, his gaze dropping to the floor. "I made mistakes, and I'm sorry." The words hung heavy in the air, filled with regret, but I couldn't tell if they were enough to rebuild what had been broken. Sarah shook her head, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "You can't just say sorry, Mark. It's been years. Lily needed you, and I needed you." Her voice cracked, and I felt a pang of sympathy for her. She had fought so hard to keep our little family together, and the thought of her pain was almost unbearable. A part of me wanted to wrap my arms around her, to be her shield against the world, but I was still caught in this world of emotions. "I know, and I can't change the past," he said, his voice thick with remorse. "I've been trying to find a way back, to figure out how to be a father. I thought I had to get my life together first, but maybe that was the wrong approach." The room pulsed with tension, and I dared to take a step forward, my own voice trembling as I finally found the courage to speak. "But you're here now, right? Does that mean you want to stay?" I searched his eyes, desperate for an answer that would fill the void in my heart. I had longed for this moment, yet it felt fragile, as if it could shatter at any moment. Mark turned to me, his expression softening. "Lily, I want to be a part of your life. I know I've missed so much, and I can't make it all up to you, but I want to try." His sincerity tugged at something deep inside me, igniting a flicker of hope. I could feel my heart hesitating, weighing the possibility of healing against the years of abandonment. "Try?" Sarah echoed, her voice tinged with skepticism. "It's not just about trying. You have to prove it, Mark. Actions speak louder than words, and you've had all this time to show you cared." I could feel the tension between them tightening, like a noose around our family, and I desperately wanted to loosen the grip of the past. "I understand," he replied, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I know it's not enough to just say that I'm here. I want to be involved in your lives, to make things right. I've thought about you both every day." His eyes darted between us, pleading for understanding, and for a moment, I could see the flicker of the father I had dreamed of. Officer Davis, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward, ready to mediate. "Maybe we should take a step back for a moment," he suggested gently. "Emotions are running high, and it might help to take a breath. What about sharing some memories? Lily, why don't you show your dad the art you've been working on? It might give him a glimpse into your world." The thought made me hesitate. My art was my sanctuary. But perhaps sharing it could create a bridge between the two worlds I was caught between. I nodded slowly, torn but willing to take that step. Mark's gaze lit up with curiosity, and I could see a flicker of hope in Sarah's eyes too, a sign that maybe, just maybe, this was a step toward healing. "Okay," I said softly, "come see what I've been creating." I led the way to my room, heart pounding, unsure of what to expect from this encounter. The walls were adorned with vibrant colors and intricate drawings, each piece reflecting a facet of my emotions, a window into my soul. I wondered how Mark would react to my world, a place where I had poured my fears, joys, and dreams. As he entered my room, I felt a mix of pride and vulnerability. Would he understand? Would he see me? My heart raced as I turned to face him, hoping that this act of sharing would open the door to a deeper connection. I knew that the journey ahead was uncertain, but in that moment, I chose to believe in the possibility of healing and the power of love to mend broken bonds. As I glanced at Officer Davis, I could see the warmth in his eyes, a kindness that felt like a gentle embrace. He took a step closer to my drawings, his gaze moving over each piece with curiosity and respect. It was as if he understood that every line and color told a story, a peek into the world I carried inside me. I felt a rush of emotion swirling within, each one a reminder of the many feelings I had kept hidden for too long. "Lily, these are incredible," he said softly, kneeling down to my level. "You have a real talent for expressing what's in your heart." His words wrapped around me like a soft blanket, encouraging me to share more. But as I opened my mouth to speak, I hesitated. My thoughts tangled up in a web of fear and longing. Could I really let someone in? I took a deep breath, the air filling my lungs, and decided to show him my favorite piece. It was a painting of a giant tree, its branches stretching wide, with countless leaves in vibrant colors. "This is the Tree of Hope," I explained, my fingers tracing the edges of the canvas. "It grows stronger no matter how many storms it faces." I felt my voice tremble, but pushed through, wanting him to understand the meaning behind my creation. "I think it's like our family. We've had a lot of storms, but I still believe we can be okay." Officer Davis nodded, his expression thoughtful. "That's a beautiful way to see it, Lily. Trees can teach us so much about resilience. They bend, but don't break." His words resonated with me, and I felt a flicker of hope ignite. Maybe, just maybe, my family could find a way to be whole again. Do you think my dad would want to see this?" The question slipped from my lips before I could stop it. The thought of Mark made my heart race with conflicting emotions. I had spent so long imagining what it would be like to have him in my life, yet the fear of rejection loomed large. "I think your dad might be surprised by how much you've grown," Officer Davis replied gently. "He might not know how to reach out, but I believe he'd want to see you. It's worth trying." His encouraging words made me feel lighter, but I still wasn't sure if I was ready to face the past. What if Mark didn't want to come back? What if he rejected me again? "Can you help us?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. It felt like a leap of faith, and I didn't know if I was ready to take that jump, but something deep inside urged me forward. "Can you bring him to see my tree?" Officer Davis smiled, the kind that made me believe in possibilities. "I can help you with that. How about I talk to your mom first? We can create a plan together." His confidence reassured me, and for the first time, I felt like I had a team supporting me. As we continued to talk, I shared more of my art, each piece a small release of pent-up feelings. I felt lighter with every word, unearthing thoughts and dreams I had tucked away. Officer Davis listened intently, asking questions that helped me explore deeper emotions. The way he engaged with me made it clear he genuinely cared, and that was something I had longed for. After a while, Officer Davis stood up, brushing off his knees as he prepared to leave. "I'll speak with your mom and see what we can set up. But remember, no matter what happens, you are incredibly strong, Lily." He offered me a reassuring smile, and I felt a mix of hope and anxiety swirling in my chest. As he walked out of my room, I felt a warmth spreading through me. I was terrified about the prospect of seeing my dad, but I couldn't deny the flicker of excitement that accompanied the fear. For too long, I had yearned for connection, and perhaps this was the first step toward rebuilding a bridge that had long been neglected. After a few days of waiting, the day finally arrived when Officer Davis returned, and my heart raced with anticipation. He sat down with Sarah and me in the living room, his expression serious yet encouraging. "I spoke with Mark," he began, looking from my mother to me. "He's willing to meet. He wants to see you, Lily, and he's curious about your art." My breath caught in my throat as his words washed over me. I glanced at my mother, who looked both anxious and hopeful. "Are you okay with this?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. "I don't know," I admitted, my voice trembling. "What if he doesn't want me?" "He's your dad, and it's natural to feel scared," Officer Davis replied softly. "But this meeting could help everyone find closure, or even start fresh." "I want to try," I whispered, my voice gaining strength. The thought of seeing him filled me with butterflies, yet I realized that this was a chance I couldn't let slip away. Over the next few days, we prepared for the meeting. I found myself painting more than ever, channeling my fears and hopes into each brushstroke. My tree of hope became even more colorful, reflecting my mixed emotions. Would it be strong enough to withstand the weight of our shared past? As the day approached, I felt the tension building, but I also felt a glimmer of hope. It was time to share my world with the person I had always dreamed of knowing. And so, I held on to the belief that love could indeed mend our broken family, one brushstroke at a time. If anyone else has experienced a similar longing for connection or faced fears about their own family, I invite you to share your stories. Each journey is unique, and sharing can help us find strength and understanding in our own paths. As I stood in front of my easel, the paintbrush felt heavy in my hand, almost like the weight of my unspoken wishes. The canvas before me was an explosion of colors, each stroke a reflection of my feelings, some vibrant and alive, others dark and murky. I squeezed my eyes shut, hoping to banish the memories of that day when Officer Davis first entered my life, but they lingered like shadows at the edges of my imagination. The way he had looked at me, with those kind eyes that seemed to see right through to my soul, was something I couldn't forget. It was that very day, after the incident at school, that my world began to shift. Officer Davis had stayed longer than necessary, asking questions that felt like a lifeline thrown to me, though I didn't know how to grab onto it. He had recognized the little signs I hadn't meant to share, the doodles in my notebook, the way I flinched at loud noises, the quiet tears I tried to hide. I remembered how he knelt beside me, encouraging me to express what I felt without words, as if he understood that some things were too heavy to say aloud. In the days that followed, his presence became a comforting constant. He would visit our home, sitting at the kitchen table with my mother, Sarah, discussing practical things like school and safety while still sensing the deeper currents flowing beneath the surface. I could see the tension in my mother's shoulders ease a little during those conversations, and there was a hint of laughter in her eyes that had been missing for so long. She would often glance at me, her expression a mix of gratitude and uncertainty, as if she was trying to reconcile the woman she was with the mother I needed her to be. Then came the day when Officer Davis sat me down, his voice gentle but firm as he said, "Lily, we need to talk about your dad." The simple mention of Mark's name sent a shiver through me, igniting a mixture of fear and curiosity. I had often wondered about him, who he was, what he looked like, and why he had chosen to leave. The questions swirled in my mind like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. I was afraid, yet a part of me longed to know the man whose absence painted my life in shades of gray. "He wants to see you," Officer Davis continued, gauging my reaction carefully. My heart raced at the thought. Was this the moment I had been waiting for, or would it shatter the fragile hope that had begun to take root within me? "It's important to understand what you want, Lily. You don't have to decide right now, but it's an opportunity to find some answers." I chewed my lip, contemplating the possibilities as a storm brewed in my chest. When I finally broached the subject with my mother, I expected her to react with anger or fear. Instead, she looked at me with an unexpected calm. "I think it's brave of you to consider it, Lily," she said, her voice steady yet tinged with a hint of sadness. "But I need you to know that meeting him won't change the love we share. You are my priority." Her words wrapped around me like a warm blanket, easing my trepidation, and I felt a rush of determination surge within me. As the day of the meeting approached, my imagination ran wild, conjuring countless scenarios. I envisioned a warm embrace and laughter, or perhaps cold silence filled with unspoken regrets. When the time finally came, I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my hair nervously. I wanted to appear strong, as if I had everything figured out. In truth, I felt more fragile than ever, as if each heartbeat could shatter my resolve. Arriving at the cafe where we were to meet, my heart thudded wildly in my chest. The familiar smell of coffee hung in the air, mingling with the chatter of patrons. And then I saw him, Mark, sitting at a small table in the corner. He was older than I imagined, with a look of weariness etched across his face. Yet there was something about his presence that felt undeniably familiar. I took a deep breath, reminding myself that this moment was mine to shape. Mark looked up as I approached, his expression shifting from surprise to a cautious smile. "Lily?" he said, his voice a tentative whisper, as though saying my name was a fragile promise. I nodded, not quite ready to speak, my emotions swirling into a chaotic blend of excitement and fear. Officer Davis, who had been watching from a distance, gave me an encouraging nod, silently urging me to take the next step. "Hi," I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. The air between us thickened with anticipation, and I could feel the weight of years of silence pressing down on us. "You wanted to see me?" He nodded, searching for the right words. "I know I haven't been there for you, and I've made a lot of mistakes, but I want to change that." The sincerity in his eyes caught me off guard, igniting a flicker of hope within my chest. I was no longer just a little girl in a world painted with longing. I was a girl with the chance to rewrite my story, one page at a time. As we began to talk, the initial tension began to dissolve, replaced with tentative curiosity. Mark spoke of his past, the struggles that had led to his absence, and the regret that weighed heavily on him. With each story he shared, I felt a piece of the puzzle fall into place, slowly revealing the man he had become. I wanted to understand him, to see beyond the choices he had made, and though the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, I realized I was no longer alone in it. Lily was learning that the road to healing was complex, filled with twists and turns, but as I left the cafe that day, my heart felt lighter. I had taken the first step toward understanding, toward forgiveness, and while I knew the path would not be easy, I also knew it was worth taking. The journey of mending our family was just beginning, and for the first time in a long while, I could see the colors of hope emerging on the horizon.